In January of 1964, a United States Air Force B-52 Stratofortress lifted off on what was supposed to be a routine training mission. There was nothing special about the flight. The bomber had taken off from Blytheville Air Force Base in Arkansas, assigned to a high-altitude proficiency sortie. The goal was simple crew training, navigation checks, handling at altitude, and simulated mission procedures. The B-52 climbed to cruising altitude and settled in. Then, without warning, the aircraft flew straight into extreme clear air turbulence. There were no clouds to signal danger, no visual cues, only invisible forces slamming into the airframe at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The bomber began to shake violently. And then, the unthinkable happened. The aircraft's vertical stabilizer, the massive tail fin that keeps it flying straight, was ripped clean off. There was no explosion, no immediate breakup, just sudden, violent instability. Inside the cockpit, the crew felt the aircraft swing sharply from side to side. Rudder inputs did nothing because the rudder was gone. It remained controllable, barely long enough to do what no one thought possible. The B-52 still landed. To understand why this was even remotely possible, you have to understand the aircraft itself. The B-52 Stratofortress first flew in the early 1950s. At the height of the Cold War, it was designed to do one thing above all else: carry enormous payloads across continents and survive environments no aircraft was expected to survive. It is massive, with a wingspan longer than a football field and a maximum takeoff weight of over 200 tons. The B-52 is powered by 8 jet engines mounted in pairs beneath its wings. Unlike modern bombers that rely on stealth, the B-52 was built around strength, redundancy, and stability. Its vertical stabilizer alone stands taller than a 5-story building. Losing it mid-flight was never considered survivable. But the B-52 was never a normal airplane. Back on that January day, the crew now found themselves flying an aircraft no checklist had prepared them for. Standard control inputs were useless. There was no rudder authority, no normal yaw control. So the pilots made a critical decision. They stopped flying the B-52 like an airplane and started flying it using engine power. They began steering the bomber using differential thrust. 8 engines became their rudder. Every input had to be slow. Every correction had to be calculated. Too much power difference, and the aircraft could roll. Too little, and it would drift out of control. The bomber was barely flyable, but flyable enough. The crew turned back toward Blytheville Air Force Base, chosen for its long runway and familiar approach. Landing would be the most dangerous phase. As the B-52 descended, the pilots continued making minute engine adjustments. The aircraft approached the runway heavy, unstable, and on the edge of control. Then, the wheels touched. The landing was hard, uneven, but the bomber stayed upright. Later investigation confirmed that extreme clear air turbulence had exceeded the structural limits of the tail, snapping it off in midair. The rest of the aircraft remained intact, a testament to just how overbuilt the Stratofortress really was.